All right, welcome to yet another episode of Relationships with Vee Mindful. Y'all, today we got I'm gonna just call you our special resident guest, Dr. L. Right? You have a YouTube channel, Dr. L's podcast, where you talk about very insightful topics. What else did you want me to share about you, Dr. L? Because you've been on the show several times, so I'm gonna just let you share, hun.
Oh, that's pretty much it. I mean, you do a good job. I do have my own platform where I talk about self improvement, relationship type stuff. It's very fascinating to me. I just got into two relationship topics because the ladies kind of hijacked it. They want to hear a man's perspective on different points. I teach a couple of college courses. Retired police officer. This,
And currently traveling the world, I'm so jealous.
you ain't jealous. You be going on. You be going around.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm about to look for another trip. Yes, I am. You are looking to live out of the country, so I think that's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. Today's topic, because you and I feel like we mesh, we vibe, and sometimes we don't agree, and I think that's the beauty of it. But we're going to talk about, because I got the comment on a couple of my YouTube videos about, okay, what is it, V, about when a woman earns more money than the man? Her demeanor, her behavior, and the way she talks towards the man in that relationship, right? So we're going to talk about that because I think you and I touched about it just a little bit in the live we had last week when we started to get into the whole community aspect of relationships. And I had asked a question about, can a man, and we're going to still talk about it in this video right here, can a man or a woman, based on their own demeanor, because I think it ties to this topic about, the dynamics when a woman earns more, but can a man, a woman change the dynamics or the balance in a relationship based on their behavior? Right? We talked about that. And I'm still going to say yes. I feel like when a woman is put in a position to be the head of the household, I do feel like it creates this dynamic for her to behave. I'm not saying I agree, Dr. L. All I'm saying is that I do believe it does put her in a position to where she may, feel like she has to lead instead of, I don't want to say submit, but you know what I'm saying. Just be in that submissive role. I mean,
Yeah.
your opinion, please.
That S word. That S word gets you
It
ladies every
trips.
single time. It gets y'all every time. just can't.
Submit. Damn it, I said it. Yes.
So I do agree with that particular statement. I think what we had a disagreement about last time was how it was phrased. But the way you phrase it right now, if a woman is in a situation where she is the breadwinner in the family, then yes, I think that naturally there's an inclination to go towards disrespect. And I think that's just what the way that it is. And she looks at her husband as less than. You're inadequate. I gotta wear the pants, and stops trusting his leadership and things along those lines. So yes, I definitely think in that context that, yeah, your attitude is going to come out. Not V's my attitude, but
No,
a
not V's
woman's attitude.
attitude. No, 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 no. You okay? So you have a daughter. So I'm glad you have a daughter. So let's say she comes to you and she is grinding. She's doing her thing. You see that your daughter is ambitious, right? You and I both have grown children. Your daughter's ambitious. She brings to you a man who makes, let's say, less than half of what she makes. Let's say that she makes 100. People that before didn't like mine. They were like, "Don't no woman make 400 grand." I'm like, y'all need to expand y'all social circles. There are a lot of women out here that make $400,000 a year. Stop. Okay, so but for the purposes of this example, let's say that she makes 100 grand. Is that more realistic, people? She makes 100 grand, and he makes maybe $40,000. As her father, what advice would you give your daughter?
I would tell her not to mess with him,
Oh,
because she because of everything I just said. I think that
really?
eventually disrespect is going to come in. I think that she will look at him as less than. And this is really an interesting conversation, because I've heard ladies say, and they've written on my channel as well, that they have tried to date men who made less than them, and
Mm-hmm.
they would say that the men who made less than them started to feel an attitude. The women themselves didn't feel a way. They would try to give him leadership responsibilities, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But he just wasn't able to handle it. That's their side of the
Hmm.
story. The other side of the story is that we know, and this is, kind of before we started recording. I was reading an article, and it was saying the exact same thing, that when a woman makes more than a man,
Hmm.
the chances of divorces goes up. So, to my advice towards my daughter would be, listen, unless this man has a clear trajectory where he's going to make more than you, if he's in college working on an architecture degree or becoming a lawyer or something like that, if he's got a clear path, then yeah.
Hmm.
But if he's satisfied, and I don't like to tell him my daughter's business, but she was actually in a situation very similar to this, and the guy
Hmm.
was just not motivated. So she had to make a decision, because she understands the dynamics about how relationships works. And if the guy, in one day she wants to have kids, and a woman is going to want to rest in her femininity and be able to take time off and rest and deal with the kids, or how many ever you're going to pump out. That was kind
Pump
of
out.
nasty to say. So
We machines now. We just pumping out babies. Okay.
so how many of her, how many that she would want to have, she wants to be able to stay home with the baby, and all that. So the guy's got to be in a financial situation where he can support that style of life. And that would be my advice. That would be my advice to
Okay.
my son, to my daughter, to anybody. So
Okay. Well, you know what? I differ a little bit. I'm gonna say this
okay.
because here's the thing. The data, okay, as black, and I want to talk about this too, because is it just a black, is this within the black community? Do other races, what is the divorce rate for, white women or Asian women, when it comes to them marrying, a woman marrying a man who makes less? Now, but I know there are some statistics that go into that, right? And as a black woman, if I have a strong desire to marry a black man, we must understand that the numbers don't support that. They just don't support every black woman getting an educated black man, getting a man that makes 150, 200,000 and more, or however more, just more than your ass, right? It just doesn't support it. And I don't want to say have to settle, but you have to look at what's important to you. Am I going to X out every man, because of that? Like, no, I have to be open minded. I have to look at that man individually, right? I can't just say, well, shit, he makes he makes 50, $100,000 less than you, V. So no, but what if he treats me like a queen? What if he does have drive, he does have ambition, he does well in his field? Should I just not even consider him just because of the fact that I make more than him? Dr.
Well,
L.
that's the,
Yeah, I want to briefly interrupt today's show to talk about a brand new community that I created for us. When I say for us, I mean for the mature adult man and woman, so that we can have candid, open conversations and we can grow and learn together. This community will meet twice a month, me meeting with everyone twice a month, live meetings to where you can ask me any question and I'm going to be there to answer your question. The community also includes a monthly book club, y'all, because I am dedicated to helping us grow and learn together. We're going to be talking about topics like menopause, erectile dysfunction, y'all, connection, the masculine and feminine energy, y'all, dating, love, divorce, grief. Topics that address specifically us as we mature in age, because life be lifing. And I feel like we need a platform to where we can share and grow together. Y'all, no negativity, completely positive. Also, in this community, I will be releasing exclusive content that you will only find within this community. I want to go deeper into our conversation so we can actually have real life, adult, grown up conversations when it comes to sex, intimacy, love, marriage, divorce, and everything else that comes in between. This community is open to whether you're single, married, divorced, happily single, unhappily married, it doesn't matter. I want to create a space to where we can really connect, because life is about connection. I am committed to helping us all have better relationships, whether it's with a partner or with yourselves. But I want us to grow and learn together. And I feel like in order to do that, we got to get more personal. I want to see you and I want to talk to you so we can laugh and love together. So click the link in the description below or in the first comment of this video to join our community, y'all. So let's get out here and continue to live our very best lives. Y'all enjoy the rest of this video.
That's going to be up to you. That's going to be up to you, and you're really going to have to do some soul searching to see how you're going to feel around your friends, around your cohorts, when you have to, if you're a leader in technology, how is it going to be when you have to take them to a function?
I mean, is he
That's
gonna
all.
be rapping? Is he gonna be up in there? What are he gonna be doing? Passing out demo tapes? In his 50s. Like, I'm sure that he would know how to behave, right? Be professional.
Well, again, that's something you're going to have to internalize and really have to ask yourself how you're going to deal with that. And I don't think that Black women are any different from any other group of women, that they want a man who's going to be socioeconomically um, more than them. And so I think that one of the biggest hurdles that Black women have is this hurdle of that their man has been emasculated. And that's something that we are trying to address. A lot of Black men in the circles that I'm running in are trying to address that. We have to overcome this psychologically, and we have to overcome this financially. And I don't. And Black women have to understand that as well. And that's been a few of my videos that I've had coming out recently. You've got to understand that. And so, if you want a Black man who's going to understand your culture and this, that, and the other, he may not, as you just mentioned, may not be on the same economic level as you. So are you able to really deal with that? If you want a car and you got to foot the bill for a vacation and you got to do whatever, all these different things that you would expect another man to do, and you go to work and you look at Sun
Mhm.
Lee or you look at Evelyn or whatever, you name the other race of women, you got to know
Did you
within
say
yourself.
Sunly? I just caught on to that. I'm gonna tell my mama she gonna whip your ass. I was like, who? I'm gonna tell my
So
Chinese mama. Okay.
you have to be able to deal with that and deal with that internally. And I think that when the rubber, it's nice to say on the surface, but when the rubber hits the road and you're out there grinding, you come home and your man, you got to do whatever financially around the home. You and I have both been in this situation. We know what the intricacies of a relationship are, what they take, the emotional stresses or strains, the who's doing the dishes, who's dealing with the kids, who's doing this, and
Hmm.
my car needs to be done this, and okay, baby, I don't have it, or my car made to get the client. You got to be able to deal with all that. And I think that when the rubber hits the road, that's when things start to really go downhill. That's what I think.
I'm gonna still say I hear. Okay, first of all, I hear you. I do. Well, one, Black women, we have to understand that we have to date outside our race, right? If you would like, if your main criteria is I want a man who makes XYZ, I want a man who's has this level of education, all these things, the numbers just don't support every Black woman to have a Black man on that level, right? The numbers don't support it. Me personally, I do date outside my race, right? I'll date an Asian man. I'll date a Latino man. I'm not just going to date Black men. I've been on dates with all kinds of people, right? That the race doesn't bother me. I'm biracial myself, so absolutely I'll date an Asian man. Just have some swag. But anyways, like, you have to understand that you can't date just within your race if that's your main criteria. But me personally, I hear you, and I know the comments that a couple of men left, and I'm sorry, and I'll have to just put it on the screen after because I didn't, set it up to where I could share my screen. That one guy was saying, well, when Black women, and I guess he was talking about was that comment for Black women in particular that he left? I
Yes.
don't remember. Okay, well, he said that, well, they, as Black men, they are expected to do X, Y, Z, but then when a Black woman starts making more money, then all of a sudden we don't want to date the Black man who's making less. And my thing, and then I've said it before on this platform, like, don't me personally, don't just judge a man by the paycheck he brings in, because I have dated men who have money, and when I say money, money, I mean money, money, right? And I didn't feel like I was the center of their attention. I didn't feel like, the love, the vulnerability, and all that stuff was there. And then I've dated men, and I could think in particular, I dated a young man. Yes, young man. Okay, not no Shannon Sharp BS. Okay, we need to come on here and do another episode. We need a part two of that. When you date too damn young, look what happens. But not that big age gap. But this young man, when I tell you the conversation, the trust, the vulnerability, the openness, I honestly would rather have that any day of the week, as long as he's able to pay his bills. I'm okay with that, Dr. L. Be able to pay your bills. Now, he may not be able to go around, been around the world. He may not be able to do all that with me. And I will send his ass some pictures. I ain't going to, I'm not going to just keep footing the bill on all the vacations. Some vacations, boo boo, you're going to have to stay at home. You have to get a postcard. But I would rather have that. I'd rather have a man who treats me like a queen, who exudes his masculinity. So maybe we can talk about that. How can that man show up to make sure that that this doesn't impact his masculinity when his woman earns more money, or
I
can
don't
it
have an
not?
answer to that. Yeah, I don't
You
think
don't
they
have an
can.
answer. You don't
I
think
don't think
so?
that. No, I don't. I know. I don't. I think that there. I think I've read some articles about this. Listen, I've done some research.
Okay,
Yeah, and I don't think that they can. Every article that I've read about that stay at home
really?
dads, they start a group for stay at home dad. They're all beta males. Now, if that's what you want, then that's what you're going to get.
Really? Okay. You
All.
okay? You know what? You and I don't. Okay. I don't know. Have I been in a situation? When I was married, no, my ex-husband, he's a scientist, and no, he didn't make less than, we both made pretty. My dad would say, he said, y'all both speak the same language, because my parents, my mom's Chinese, my dad's black, and when they got married, my mom English was also so good, right? But they're still married 52 years. My dad said, y'all got the same religion, and I don't have a religion. I'm not religious anymore at all. Okay, I believe in God, but I don't believe in everything else. But anyway, we, had the same thinkings. We both spoke English, and we both made pretty good money. How the hell y'all still getting divorced? Because the challenges, like the financials, it is a big challenge in marriages, but it's clearly not the only challenge. But I have not been married to somebody or in a serious relationship with a man. I'm trying to think to where he makes that much less. And I guess I have to believe you.
How does a man show up in your situation in your life, and you're paying the vast majority of the bills? How do you look at this man? How do you look? And listen, how do you look at this man? How are you going to submit to him sexually?
You such a yeah, okay.
And he well, this is your struggle. This is your struggle. How are you going to submit to him sexually, and he is not handling the bills? I just don't see it.
Let me say this, because there are some men out here who have money who are stingy as a mother sucker. Okay, so don't let ladies, do not let that paycheck be the only criteria, because there are some men out here who make good money. They make $500,000 a year, and you make $50,000 a year, and they still gonna ask for your half of the damn bills. Okay, so let me just say that there are some men out here like that.
But why do
He
they
got to
do
make
that?
more,
Why do they do that?
because they
Why
are
do you?
punk. Don't get me cussing on the show, because
No,
this is YouTube. Because they
no,
they are some weak. They are, well. What you tell me,
no.
because you tell me.
They do it
You tell.
because if things go bad and they go to divorce court, he can say she's always paid half the bills. That's the reason.
But what good is that
Every
going to do? It's still going to come down to a calculation. If they've been married 10 years, it's still going to,
I'm
alimony
not a
is the
lawyer. I'm
alimony.
not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just saying, if you've already been supporting your half of the bills and you've been supporting your own lifestyle, then the argument, I'm assuming, is that she don't need my money because she's always been doing it. This is the
Well,
consequence of that.
it don't
So
matter. I'm telling you, being someone who was in court, and I'm not an attorney either. Okay, we ain't medical professionals and we ain't attorneys, but somebody such as myself who have been in this situation, I can tell you right now, when the judge start doing them calculations, the numbers are the numbers. So you ain't debating these numbers. The numbers are the numbers. So that's all I'm gonna say. But
okay.
there are some men, like, I just can't, me personally, I hear what you're saying. I just can't just sit here and say it's person's paycheck, because I've been with people who have money and they gonna nickel and dime you. I would rather be with a man. He's contributing to the mortgage. He's contributing to, like, he's not no damn pocket princess, is he? Like, he just sitting around here getting his nails and manicured while I'm out here grinding. Like, he's grinding with me, right? And he's paying part of these bills as well. He's doing his part. I would take that man all day, every day over somebody who makes way more money than me but doesn't have a giving spirit. He just not a good person. He's a selfish, stingy person with this money.
Well, that's what you say, and I believe you. I believe what you're saying, but that's what you say. But the numbers say that when your woman makes more, the divorce goes up. That's what all the numbers say.
I believe you.
And it's not just a matter of getting with the guy and taking a guy. We'll make it. Can you really look at a man and really say, okay, I'm the breadwinner, the majority breadwinner, and I'm still going to submit myself to you. I'm still going to listen to what you have to say. I'm still going to take you seriously. I'm still going to have wild, freaky sex with you. These are all things that the ladies are saying. They all say this. So I mean this is a dilemma that a lot of women are having, and they keep telling us that this is possible. I watched something that was on NBC not long ago about this same exact thing, and the guy had quit his job to be a stay-at-home husband. The woman she was a black woman too, married to a white dude. It was high-powered, whatever she was doing, making business corporate moves, and he was talking about it wasn't easy for him, and he's sitting home, on the computer doing stuff with his daughter, and just looking like a complete beta. He looked like a complete beta male. If that's what you want, that's what you want.
Okay, can't masculinity be defined in other ways besides somebody's paycheck? Can't masculinity be defined in? You're saying that if he makes more, there is no masculine. I mean, if he makes less than the woman, you're saying there. I'm hearing there is no masculinity.
No, I think that masculinity is defined by both genders. Women are just as responsible for the masculinity, what a man presents as masculine as the men are. So if you got a group of men and we all were on a stranded island, right? Somebody's going to take charge, and that would be the biggest, strongest, who's the toughest. We probably fight it out, have arguments, physical fights. We would establish who's the dominant person. Now, on the other side of the island is a group of women. Now, you guys come over, and you see all these different dudes. You see the outcomes of this hierarchy that's been established. Who are you going to select? You're going to select the alpha. So women reinforce this type of thing all the time. So we know that in the scenario that I just gave you about the woman who was dating or who was married to the guy, in any other situation besides the financial empowerment that is going on with women, she would not have selected this type of guy. She would have got the guy who was outside cutting grass, chopping wood, moving mountains, slaying the dragons, hunting down the lions, tigers, and pumas. So I'm saying that your question was about masculinity. I'm saying that you select for masculinity as well. And if all the women on the tribe selected the most beta in the second scenario I gave you about the island, if they all selected they wanted the lower tier beta male who was just gathering seashells or whatever. If you all went after that type, you can't listen to what I'm saying, right? I can't even say it without you laughing. If you all selected that type of man, then that's what we would go. That would be the standard of masculinity. But you're laughing because that's not what you're going to do. You know it.
Wait, okay, no, okay, but you know what? In that scenario, if we're all on a stranded island, it don't matter how much that man makes, right? It don't matter, right? Because who the hell knows? He couldn't
doesn't
pay to
matter
get his
what he
ass off.
makes.
Doesn't matter what he makes.
It doesn't matter what he makes, but it matters what he does. His bravado, his confidence, his ability to establish himself and be a dominant male. And the way that we do that in this society is through our money. It's one of the ways that we do that in our society with our money.
Okay, so yes, that part, yes, through the money. Like, to me, masculinity isn't. I hear what you're saying, though. It's not exuded primarily in how much he makes. To me, it's exuded in his confidence. His, protecting and providing is what masculinity is. But providing doesn't mean that you have to provide like be able to provide financially everything in his household. Like we're partners. We're partners. We got this household collectively, right? What happened to that? I thought it was a partnership.
I think this is all mental gymnastics that people are trying to convince us of in this day and time. I really believe that, because if there's a situation, you and I are out on a date, and there's something going on, and you bought the car, you bought the tickets, you bought the food, you just splurging, just having a good time, right? And then there's a guy over here who's threatening me. And even if I show up somehow and I bravado, scare him off, or tell you to get in the car, whatever's whatever, in the back of your mind, you're still going to be saying, I bought this car. The only reason we were out in this situation is because I paid for the tickets for us to go out. That would be in the back of your mind. So all this other stuff to me, is just mental gymnastics of us trying to trick ourselves into saying that what we really want is this other type of guy who's going to protect me, yes, and provide for me. It's both.
Oh, here come my dog barking. He's exuding his masculinity, okay, because some dog just went by the street. That's my dog. It don't come down to money for me. It 100% does not, because I know, and maybe because it's a situation that I'm in, I know that a lot of times, because of the career that I've had, I'm probably, the odds are, I'm gonna meet somebody who doesn't make as much money as me, but that's why I date outside my damn race. I'm not just looking at black men. And I think if you are dead set on dating a black man, and then you're dead set on him making more than you're going to have to take some factors into consideration. Just because he makes more than you, like I said, don't mean that he's going to take care of your ass. Please hear me clearly, because I've been in that situation. Don't mean that he's going to pay for and take care of you and treat you like a pampered princess either, because there are some men out here who are straight stingy. I'd rather just be with somebody who understands what the masculinity is, and that's making me feel safe. That's physically, yes, but that's also emotionally. To me, if a man can guard my feelings, protect them, and I know you're gonna say, well, but that's okay. That's how I feel as a woman. That's that's how I feel. I'd rather be with a man who knows how to make me feel safe, soft, and feminine. I know that was a question I started at the beginning of this. Can a man influence, or a woman influence, the masculine and feminine balance in the relationship? Yes. Because you can get a man that makes all the money, but he's still acting like a bitch. He's still acting like a crybaby. He still don't know, rightfully, he don't know how to lead. He just, yeah, he makes more money, but that means he's a good person, and he maybe doesn't make you feel soft and feminine. Now you got two dicks in a relationship, because I damn sure about to bring mine, and now we sword fighting up in here, because I'm bringing my masculinity to the table, the relationship, because I don't feel safe in this relationship. I don't feel like he's exuding masculinity, and it ain't tied. Trust me, it ain't, in my experience. It's not tied to that man's pay stub.
So you started, before the dog started barking, exuding his masculinity. You were saying that um second or third date or something like that. And I'm not questioning that. I'm questioning long term, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 5 years, 5 years, 10 years. That's what I'm questioning. How long can you really sustain and trick biology into saying that this is really something that I want? And I hear you, what you're saying. You want someone who's going to be generous, and someone who's really going to protect your emotions. And I think that if you ask any woman, they would say those things. But eventually, I think that time will erode what society's trying to tell us now. And this is where we get to divorce numbers. Divorce don't come just because I got this raise on my job. Okay, and now next month I'm filing for divorce. Divorce comes over months, years of looking at this man as less than. That's what I'm talking about.
I just read something the other day, and I said, I was going to do a reel on it when I get some time. But they said that, because men will say, well, who's the one that's filing for divorce? More women are filing for divorce. And I read a statistic that said the reason men file for divorce when they have somebody else, or they end relationships when they already have somebody else lined up. Whereas women don't typically do that. Women don't typically leave relationships for somebody else. I'm not saying we don't. I said typically, right? But the reason why men aren't necessarily out here filing for divorce because they're okay with the okie doke. They're in this relationship, and because they haven't gone out here and started dating somebody else, they're not ready to file. But soon as they get ready, as soon as they out here testing the waters and dating other people, next thing you know, that's when they file. Hey, that was a statistic I read, and I said, huh. I guess it makes sense. You guys will just ride the wave until a woman ends, the surf. She just will end it, and then next thing you know, the relationship is over. Do you agree, disagree? If you
I
disagree,
never.
I'm gonna cut your segment out.
That's a good question. I don't have anything to refute that. I would probably say that's true. Guys are just. I think the guys will stay because they want to be around their kids. They'll stay because they don't want to lose their house. And
They don't want
look,
change. Cheaper to keep her.
cheaper to keep her, change. Well, I don't know if I would say the change thing, because I think that yeah, I don't know if I would say the change thing, but yeah, the other factors, particularly finances, being around your kids, don't you don't want to sell your home. You got everything's good here besides this situation to try to ride it out.
So at the beginning, you said you didn't even think a woman can be feminine if she's in that situation with a man who makes less money. She was able to get through all this stuff, but the thing that's missing is the fact that he doesn't make as much money. You don't think that she could be feminine in a relationship?
No, I don't. No, I think eventually I think she may start that way, but eventually, like you said, you're gonna pull your dick out and you're gonna start sword fighting. Um, and you're gonna feel as if you have to take over. And I think that happens. I think that happens in a relationship, period. I've talked about this. I think it happens in a relationship, period. I think that men
Why?
have to maintain dominance in the relationship. One of the reasons I think that men stop showing as much masculinity or stop showing as much dominance or leadership is because they become beholden to the cookie. And you look at your woman and you want to please her, and so you start acquiescing. The children start coming, and she says, you didn't change the diapers right, you didn't take the trash out, and then you don't want to argue, you don't want to lose your potential prowess, your power. So your power slowly starts to erode. And as you stop challenging and
Hmm.
stop speaking up for yourself, her disrespect towards you is gonna grow, and her respect for you as a person and as a man and as a leadership capacity is going to diminish. So men have to strive to maintain dominance in the relationship.
Okay, so you just kind of proved my first question when I opened up that the dynamics in the relationship, absolutely, because I've gone through this scenario back and forth and my own relationships, right? Like somebody I know would say that a woman should be feminine no matter what. Like that man has no input into her femininity. And I'm like, bullshit. That's not true. Because trust and believe, I get a man who makes me feel soft. I get a man that can, pour into me. I'm not gonna say nurture me, but we'll just say pour into me, makes me just feel like he got it. Like I can feel safe with him. I promise you, that man is going to get the softest version of V. But if that man makes me feel like I gotta every day, I gotta fight. If I gotta feel like that in my damn relationship, I promise you, I'm coming out swinging. I'm coming out masculine, and that is the relationship. So you prove my point. That's all I'm saying. You prove my point that yes, the balance, how two people are showing up in the relationship is going to dictate how she and he show up. So if when you say continue his dominance, I'm not exactly sure what that means. Like
You know
what
exactly what it means. It means exactly what you want. It means exactly what you think I'm saying. That you know exactly what I'm saying.
okay, but how can a woman, and I'm gonna just sit here and say, yeah, I do think that just because the man makes less money, I do feel like I can still make him feel masculine. I can still put him in a position to be masculine, right, and
If
to
you
be the
listen,
head of the household.
okay, if
I
you say,
think so.
listen, I know, I hear you. I know that this is what you're saying. I hear you. I don't believe it, but I hear you.
So you
but
wouldn't date me? Wait, hold on now.
oh,
No, 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 no. You wouldn't date me. So let's say that I make. Let's just say I make $500,000 a year, and you make 400. You wouldn't date me, Doctor L, just because I make a little bit
I
more.
don't think
You said
I
I
would
wouldn't
date
date
you.
you. Period. You
I would date you. Yeah, I would date
see? Okay. So
you.
that's what I'm like. Come on now,
But I'm gonna. I don't. I mean, listen. I retired, so I'm making retired money plus my YouTube plus my other stuff that I'm doing. But um, but I think I'm in a different kind of bracket because I've done that, and I could be in corporate America. I quit because I didn't want to do it. So there's avenues in, and then I have the highest level of education. So I think that I'm in a different type of bracket. So I think I'm in a different type of bracket. I'm not looking to have kids. I'm not looking to, so I'm in a different place.
okay.
So me personally, you made $1 million a year. You want to date me, but listen, you ain't gonna talk to me in no type of way. You ain't gonna.
And I wouldn't. And I
Well,
wouldn't.
I know you would. I know you
I
would.
see. I know I wouldn't. Right. I personally. That's why I feel like women and men can they can be in a relationship where that the
I mean,
man.
is it possible? Yes.
Yes.
Is it probable?
Probable.
Again,
Okay.
when you look at when you look at the stats about when women start to particularly start making more, it just goes
I
downhill.
believe
And
you.
this is on both sides. I hear the women when they say, I stopped looking at this man a certain way and he stopped being dominant. But also the men are saying she started pulling her dick out and started telling me what to do and the things he used to do.
Yeah.
Listen, make your own sandwich, and I'm not doing this. Oh, okay.
Well.
So it changes the dynamic, and that's something that's something that you have to.
Yep.
I was going to say
The
you,
two
but I think
people.
probably both have to really kind of come together and agree with this. But I still maintain, even after that discussion, even after that conversation, there's still some beta aspects to a man who's going to do that, particularly if you're still dealing with household dynamics. You got kids, who's picking up the kids, who's making the kids
Hmm.
lunches, who's doing the more feminine type of energy type of stuff around the house. I still think that eventually the woman is going to look at the man and as less than, particularly when she goes to work and she's going to work.
Grinding. Hmm.
She's grinding, but she's sitting in business meetings with all these other alpha men who are, she's got to put her dick up and all this kind of stuff and around these dudes and speak up for herself and
Hmm.
ask for raises and all this other kind of stuff that women don't usually do, and not get cut off in meetings and speak up for herself. Right? She's doing all this alpha energy, and she comes home to this guy who's not doing that. And you're gonna
I
tell
can
me
see
she's
that.
animalistic? She's animalistically attracted to this guy. Meanwhile, she's working with these dudes.
No, I'm gonna
Not,
tell you.
not
I hear
happening.
I do hear that part. I really do. I think that it's important for the two people in the relationship that, like, when she comes in the house, even if she has to sit in the parking lot in the driveway, for an extra 15 minutes to listen to some type of feminine music or whatever. But you can't you can't come up in the house and be barking orders. I don't care if you are married to a man who makes $100,000 more than you. You still gonna have to leave your middle masculine dick energy outside that house. You cannot come in the house and come from barking orders out there to be barking orders in your house. You just can't. That's not right. Just like a man can't be. Yeah, a man's going to have to show up to be the lead. I'm gonna say the lead in the household. That doesn't mean that he never takes his wife's opinion and input. He absolutely should. But we have to, in order to maintain the balance, y'all. We have to have the conversations, but we have to do a great job in staying in those roles, whatever they mean to your relationship, right? Like, we have to stay there. Once, like we said, the imbalance starts to happen. He starts to pull back in his leadership, in his confidence, or whatever. And then what's going to happen? He's pulling back. She coming this way. So now she's out of her femininity. She's into her masculine, and now there's more masculine energy being exuded from her. The balance is off. Because the relationship, it's the relationship, it's the balance that I'm gonna stick by that. I'm gonna say it's the balance is off, boo. Okay, well, Dr. L, I do appreciate your. I don't know if we didn't really come to a resolution. I think you and I have differences of opinions, and funny that the differences. Like, I think I'm siding. Like, I think it's possible for a man to be in a healthy relationship, and I think I see your point though. As from a man's standpoint, I can't do nothing but hear your point and respect it. It is. I'm not a man, so I can't speak for all men. So I hear you and I appreciate that. We have to close out because I do have to start coaching in less than 30 seconds. But thank you everyone for tuning in. And until next week, y'all, take care.